Started? Is it official? Have we
Have-
welcomed the people to the show?
Have we welcomed the people to the show? I haven't
Ladies
even.
and gentlemen.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, fine. Fine then.
Take it away, sir. We missed you last
No,
week.
no. I want you to do it. I want you to do it this time. I've been doing it for 45 episodes. You can do number 46.
Lies. I've definitely done it at some point. Come on now. There's no way I've just been doing it.
Find one and tell me.
All right. That's a lot to look through. At least be in the beginning, so I wouldn't have to go too far. But you know what we're talking about. But ladies and gentlemen, everybody out there tuning in, if you're tuning in live or you're tuning in later with just your ears, welcome. We've got Q back. We missed last week, but we are ready to jump back into this and talk about some really cool stuff. Hope you're all doing well. Appreciate you being here. Q, how was your week?
My last week was actually quite well. It actually was quite well. I mean, I didn't enjoy. It was actually really stressful. It was really stressful not streaming. Not for the fact that, like, I guess that's weird to say.
I know what you're talking
I guess
about.
that's weird to say. Like,
well, no, you're like, how was it say?
You feel like you're letting
like
people down.
People down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you feel like you're letting people down because you're not there. But at the same time, you knew you did. Like, I knew I didn't want to be there because I needed the break, right? And for those that are listening in, I've already kind of explained it in Discord and whatnot. But I was having some medical issues, and me and my doctor kind of just talked about it, and we were like, it's probably stress related, right? It's probably stress related, and I just put too much pressure on myself, and so we decided I was just going to take a break a week, and I was just going to do nothing for an entire week. I mean, that was across the board. I didn't do anything for an entire week, which was actually really nice.
I don't know how you do it, man. Just nothing. It's a lot. It's a lot of nothing.
It was actually it was a lot of nothing, and it was really nice. And I actually relaxed. I enjoyed it, and I feel really good. I feel really good. So I was like, okay,
that's a good thing. To actually like just unwind, because a lot of people, it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to take a vacation to get away and decompress. But then you're like, you're booking stuff and packing and doing this and flying and blah, blah. And it's just as stressful as just like spending your work week at home. Like, you need a vacation after vacation to literally just do nothing, to really let it all out. So I'm glad you're able to do that, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I came back, started streaming again Monday. Now I got to get back in the rhythm of YouTube content though, right? Because realistically, I took almost 2 weeks off because I didn't record a video. Like,
it's a lot.
I hadn't recorded my new content, and then I took the week off to where I wasn't doing anything. So now I'm like, oh, crap, now I got to get back in the rotation of that. But but no, it's good. I've been good. Work's been busy, but it's just we'll be there. We'll be ready. We're ready now, I guess I should say. What about yourself, man?
We are. I mean, me. I'm always just living life, playing video games, jumping in the pool, enjoying the Florida heat. I pressure washed my patio this weekend. That's always fun. It's one of those like weird, soothing chores. Like I understand the video game that came out completely, how people got
pressure washing simulator.
Like, it's just something about just blasting stuff with water and watching it go from dirty to clean is like its own type of therapy.
How many times did you write your name while you were doing it?
Oh yeah, I was drawing a lot of funny, silly stuff and some of the real thick muck there at first. Some very childish things that I'm not going to own up to, but
I have some really, like, both my neighbors have done they're like sidewalks, and mine is like black, and I'm like there's gonna be a day where I just need to do it, but I don't get the little sprayer. I get the concrete scrubber. I'm like, I'm not wasting time on this. I'm like, we're blowing through this. It's like the floor buffer machine, but for concrete.
Huge,
I love.
They work well though.
I did it last time, and so I did my sidewalks and driveway one time with my like little one, my little sprayer, and it took me like 6 hours, and I was like, this is a long freaking time. And then the next time, my neighbor had rented pressure washer and with the concrete scrubber, and he's like, hey, I've got it for like 8 hours. I'm already done. You want to borrow it? And I'm like, sure.
Like, yes.
And I'm like, it was like an hour. I was like done with everything. I was like, I'm never doing it the old way again. This is not happening. Like, I was like, this was too easy. I can't go back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like cleaning an area like this at a time compared to like this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, those do sound like fun. I wonder what they rent for.
Probably
not super cheap.
It was like $100.
Like that.
$100 for 8 hours. which isn't super expensive,
Sure.
but
Fair enough.
But
Hey,
yeah,
gets the
it's
job done, right?
yeah. So, but yeah, that had to be outside, get a little sun. It's
Yeah,
still hot,
always
man.
nice.
It's
It
still.
is, but the humidity's died down.
Is it going down? You think so?
Yeah, you can feel it in the air. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we got like I know because I like my cat always wants to go outside, so I'm always like I want to open up the door for the cat or whatever, let him go outside, or at least leave the screen so he can at least have fresh air, right, or whatever. And I always ask Google like every day. I'm like, what's the temperature outside? And it's always like it's 85, but the feels like it's like 97, and I'm like, crap.
Oh
okay,
yeah,
it's not happening today, buddy.
We still got the temps of the sun, but thankfully the humidity's cut a little bit, so it's feeling like 95 instead of 108. You know.
It was like 79 the other day, felt like 83, and I was like, I think we could bear this, buddy. And I opened the door up for a little while. I was like, okay, yeah, you can. And then it just felt like somebody just took a steamy shower after about an hour of having that door open. I was like, yeah, we're gonna shut this now. We're gonna shut this now.
We're still probably a couple months out from like throw the slider open and enjoy.
Yeah, at least
beautiful Florida evenings here when it comes time.
Yeah, November time frame, roughly. You think?
I think so. Yeah,
something like that.
Which that is the tragic news. Speaking of November, ladies and gentlemen, let me all break your hearts now. Battlefield 2042 has been delayed a month. It is now November 19th set release date, and I'm very sad about it. I'm mourning it still, so it's a soft wound. Please don't touch it. But
please don't touch it.
It's just tragic.
Wow.
It's just
I think
tragic.
that could have been worded a little bit.
Only a month. Only a month.
So I actually want to talk about that. I actually want to open up tonight and talk a little bit about developers and as we've seen and as we're still feeling the impact of the COVID pandemic. Like we're still feeling it, right? It's 24 months now, realistically, right, that we've been dealing with this. And do you think that it's been it's almost all of 20. It was like March of 2019.
True, and but technically it was starting before then. Like it was
So as we continue to see, like now we're starting to see the major impacts from the gaming industry. Like we saw some delays, we saw some pushbacks, things like that. Like Cyberpunk, I think, was the biggest one. The push to release it, but we're starting to see the major impacts of developers and like these big games, and there's just consistent rewind, retract, push out, you know, or they're de-scoping certain content that they were originally going to have with a game. And at what point do you think it's the right call to delay the release of a game? Right? It kind of like, would you rather see here would be my question. Like, we already know Battlefield's not going to have a campaign, right? It's campaignless, right? So it's multiplayer only. So we already know that that's the case. Would it be better to release the game minus features and then release free updates later, or is it better just to delay and give an entire game in one shot?
That's a tough. I would say, man, you got to go full game. Like, whatever your plan was for release. Like, I don't think it's ever okay instead of delaying the release that you say, all right, we're still going to hit our deadline, but you're going to be missing these 2 game modes until further notice. Like, that's like, I feel like people just aren't getting their money's worth at that point. The bigger problem to me is just the promise of the big release date. Like, I think they're too aggressive. I would rather they set a date well within the time they feel they can hit. Like, oh, you know, hey, we can get this done in 6 months, but, you know, we'll tell them it's going to come out in a year. And then, hey, you know, 3 months before they say, guess what? We're going to get to drop the game early. Congratulations. than trying to push some crazy deadline, never being able to hit the mark and pissing people off.
Yeah, it's like when you go for a home renovation project or anything like that. You go to different contractors and you go get bids and like, oh, I'll do it for this price and then I can do it within 3 months or something like that. And depending on the time sensitivity of the project, you make a decision, right? You may pay more money if somebody says they can do it faster, right? And then you get into the project and it ends up taking twice as long as any of the bids you had to begin with. And I'm like,
because you find problems and this and that.
I don't even know that it's problems, but I honestly I've never seen a construction project end on time. Never. In my life, in my life, I've ever seen a construction project end on time. But so I don't know who bids those or how that works, but I just feel like it's never right.
No,
but you end up in that situation. I think you're totally right. I love the idea of saying like fall 2021 and then firming up the date.
Yeah, right.
You know, that gives you a 3-month window. Firm up the date when you're ready to firm up the date, and then you know you can, because fall could be right. What's fall? October to December? No. September to October.
Yeah.
Something? I don't even know what the seasons are.
In my brain, it's Q4 fall. I don't know.
Yeah. I live in Florida. I don't know what seasons are, okay? So you do that though, and then you tell yourself, you're like, okay, here's where I kind of think I'm gonna hit the mark. Don't give me a firm date. Don't tell me today, is gonna be the day, and then that day tell me it's gonna be a month from now or whatever, right? Like I think I agree with you there 100%. And it's just something we've seen consistently with games over the course of time. Yeah. They set an unrealistic date, they set an unrealistic goal, and they just shoot themselves in the foot because all it does is make people mad at that point. All they do is make people mad.
Yeah, they make promises and then they don't deliver. Dying Light 2 was supposed to come out in December. They also just announced last week that they're pushing that back to February of next year.
Back for Blood, pushback. Is there a game? That's released on time? Has there been a game that's released like a AAA? Not a AAA, I should say, but anything that's been like noteworthy. Yeah. Has there been a game that's released on time? I can't name one. Like I can't name a single game that came out when they said they were going to release it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, in my mind too, the best game release that I've experienced in the past 5-10 years was Apex, and there was no lead up to it. You heard rumors the night before they launched. There was no promises, there was no teasers, which I get a lot of companies like to do the teasers, and you can do that. But you don't give these dates that you never hit, because again, I would hate to be the community manager for all of these projects, because they have to know they're just going to be railed on by the community. Like, what do you mean I have to wait again? I want my money back. Like, I pre-ordered and blah, blah, blah. And I hate to say this too, I joke, but people take work off for some launch titles for games that they're big fans of.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's huge.
So what if somebody was planning already now, they had to do it 6 weeks ahead, so they planned to take a week off for the Battlefield launch, and now they're just stuck at home, with their controller sitting staring at nothing. Like, it doesn't do them any favors, and it doesn't do us any favors. So why make these promises?
That's a great question. It's a great question.
Yeah.
I actually have here's a note I need to make. I have a friend who used to be a community manager for Ubisoft.
Okay.
I should ask him. Look at this. Hey,
the only thing I can think of. Yeah.
Got an
actual. It looks good, man. Looks good. It's a nice shirt, by the way. Rocking today, looking official, looking ready.
Yeah, with my shirt and my notepad.
Yeah, almost like Steve from Blue's Clues.
Notepad.
But the only thing I can think of is it's like for investors or people backing the project. Like they need to set a date to start making money back, which they're selling the game beforehand anyways. So like, who cares if it's actually out yet? It doesn't change the pre-order numbers. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Yeah. Your friend, maybe they'll enlighten us a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
Something along that line. Like, just give me it. Like, why does this turn out to be this way? Like, what's the objective? Do they feel like does a developer? Is there an expectation that if they don't give us a solid deadline, like here's the date, they won't get the pre-orders?
Yeah, like there's got to be pressure coming from somewhere.
Yeah. There's got to be something going on that drives that type of requirement, right? Or that type of expectation. And we need to figure it out. Like, because it could be real, right? It could be something like they set this date. They're like, here, we're giving you this date. Y'all can't even see on camera what I'm throwing. There we go. Now you can. We're setting this date, because it makes our developer, like it makes our team be required to do this, right?
Yeah.
Makes our team be obligated, and it keeps us in check. And here's our deadline, because otherwise we'll just continue to push out and not meet our goals and stuff like that. And if so, I know some people work like that. I wouldn't think that a big firm that's responsible for developing would do that, but you never know.
Yeah.
I mean,
some
people do that. And yeah, you could see I'm getting comments in chat right now that it could be related. Yeah, of course there's got to be some financial relation here. There's got to be some value financially that says, right?
Yeah.
This is something that we're going to need. We're going to need, if we're investing in you, we need to know that there's going to be a release within this quarter or this time frame, right? To say that I want a return on my investment.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's some of it. I don't know. It is weird though how you'll get some games where they promise you a date like a year out, and then some won't do it like till 3 or 4 months, but then both end up pushing it back. Like it doesn't seem like how far away the date is. It's always something that they're pushing too much with. And I'm not even going to blame the pandemic on this. I just think they're just getting greedy with their time or their management or whatever it may be, or they're all just unaware of how big these projects really are these days. I don't know. I can't believe that either. Something's going on. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna do our research, do some homework, and come back to you guys with some solid answers, because we all want to know. Why lie to us? Make us happy. Like I said, set a late date and surprise us with it early. God damn, imagine a world like that. How excited
could you imagine if a game came out and it was like, hey, by the way, guys, we're going to release it, 3 weeks early?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Lose my mind. Be fucking fantastic.
I don't know how they would do that. Like, people would freak out. Like, they'd be like, what? Right? Like, there'd have to be some system where, by the way, if you pre-ordered, you get like maybe a discount, or like you get from now or from release date until, like, it almost turns into a credit program. It's like from now until the original release date, you get to pay it off, right? Because some people are like, oh, I don't have the money to buy it anymore. But, set up something. Yeah. I think that would be really fun. Could you imagine if like Steam had a payment plan? That literally just popped in my head. Like if Steam had a payment plan to where you could buy a $60 game.
Games.
Yeah, you could buy a $60 game and pay it over 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the allure for, in my head, like kids trying to get games and stuff for birthdays or whatnot. But I don't know. My head says if you can't afford a $60 game, don't buy the
$60 game.
Personally, but that's again, Apex is the only thing that's done something different in the past. So again, it'd be fun to see a company try to make.
I would say
approach the launch differently.
I would say Valheim snuck up on us, right? The hype behind it didn't really.
It wasn't a AAA title.
No. I mean, you're right, but I mean, the hype behind it didn't exist until like a couple days before it came out, right? And that was when people started streaming it early. Right, people started doing like the pre-streams and stuff.
They give copies early, and
that was the one thing.
That's all the hype you need. I don't think you need to hype something up for 6 months.
With the way the gaming and the streaming culture works today, I think you're totally right on that aspect. I think that having just small teasers here and there just to have information about the game, and then when you're close to launch, and then you have like Back 4 Blood. I will say I think Back 4 Blood's done a really, really good job with the alpha, beta tests, etc. Right, the different different launches. They had alpha, closed beta, open beta, right, and now they're getting ready for launch. They still had a pushback, but I think they've done a very good job where instead of investing tons in like marketing and things like that, they just here you go, guys, sign up for the beta. Streamers, you're legally allowed to stream it. Go for it, right?
Yeah,
because that's huge.
Which really, again, I think all of us as gamers, content creators, whatever it may be, we take another gamer's opinion a lot more than somebody writing a review. Somebody, IGN doing a video about it. Like the amount of times IGN has shat on games that I've loved because I've played it and had a good time. The games felt good enough that like I can get on there with friends or play by myself, whatever it may be, and it just works. Like we know, again, we the gamers, the community, we know what we want. We know what we enjoy. So those are the reviews and the people we're going to look to say, hey, is it any fun? Yeah, man, get it. That's the advice I'm taking more so.
I used to do that. Like I used to go to certain websites, IGN, Tech Radar, different websites and things, and it was for like tech products and things like that, and like they would just completely tear apart some things, and I would be like, this is such an unrealistic standard that you have set for a device. They're like, like cell phones, right? Like I'd be due to re-up my cell phone, and I'd be doing research and I'd look at reviews and stuff. Like, this phone only had 16 and a half hours of screen on time when I was playing video games on it the whole time. And I'm like, they're like, that's unacceptable. I'm like, this is super unrealistic, guys. Like, come on, let's be real. And then they turn around and they do another device, and it's almost like you can tell what's paid for and what's like what reviews are paid for and what aren't, because they do another device and they're like, this one's absolutely amazing. This is the new device to go get, and I'm like,
they're like, you get a full 17 hours of charge time on this phone. It's like, like that 30 minutes really matters, and you could get a bad battery that's worse or better. Like, there's always these little random things with tech too.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting when you like look at that and you start going down that rabbit hole of reviews and reviewers, and you really have to pay attention. Like I mentioned, you really have to pay attention to what's a paid review and what's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of people get fooled by that stuff.
Swinging back though, one thing I mentioned Back 4 Blood with the beta testing and things like that. The one thing I really didn't like the way the New World handled their alpha and their beta testing, right? Where it wasn't until it rolled to the open beta that you were allowed to stream it. I didn't like that at all, because I was in the alpha test, I was in the closed beta test, and I honestly played minimal hours because of the way my schedule's set up, right? Like I don't play a lot of games when I'm not streaming, or when I'm not live, or when I'm not playing with somebody else, right? So I was like, there's really not a lot of time for me to be able to play this game from a tester perspective. At that point, I'm playing it for like, I'm playing it to test it for you. I'm not playing it for the enjoyment of my community, right?
Oh yeah, so, you're there to find bugs and things like that,
right? And I don't think that necessarily, that doesn't build hype. That doesn't build anything for the game. We know that it's an early release. We know that things are going to be wrong. We know that bugs are going to occur, but
and also just weigh in the fact that, like, hey, you're playing a technical test or whatever it may be, and we don't want eyes on it, but we want you to find everything out wrong that you can. Just crazy. Just think, 20 people watching the same screen, nitpicking everything they're seeing is going to be a lot more effective than one person who's actually like using the controls to try to experience it all. Like, obviously you'll be able to tell that kind of stuff out, but visually this and that, my viewers, when we're playing games, catch a lot more stuff on screen than I do. So it'd be nice to have those extra set of eyes when you're actually trying to help somebody out.
Yeah, you could see that's actually a key point, or an interesting thing, where as a viewer who's not directly involved in the game, right? Because as the content creator, right, you almost have, as the streamer, I should say, you almost have tunnel vision, right, with the immediate thing in front of you.
Oh yeah,
right, like you're level 3 and you're fighting a wolf, right? You're sitting here and you're trying to do your thing, right? You're trying to kill this wolf, and then all of a sudden on the back end of the screen, the whole scenery disappears or something like that, right? You're not going to see that because you're just fighting the wolf. Like, you're like, get rid of this guy, right? He's going to kill me. And that kind of concept, right? Things like that, having viewers to see that or clip or whatever, right? And then you can submit those things. You could find a lot. I think you have an opportunity to find a lot more bugs and stuff like that. So I wasn't super impressed with how Amazon, is it Amazon Gaming? What's the name of their development team?
Just Amazon Studios or something.
Amazon Studios. I'm not super impressed.
We can blame it on that, I guess, but yeah, it seems like they're just trying to hide hide a lot of stuff, which I don't understand either.
I mean, again, another game that was hyped up to be great and release on time, and it's delayed as well. So
I don't hear anybody talking about it anymore.
No, not after the beta ended. It just kind of, because the beta ended, and then after the beta was over, they announced the delay, and it just kind of was like, like it just radio silent for a little while.
Yeah, and I get wanting to build hype, but I think all of us at this point, with the amount of disappointment we've come through too, number one, we just don't get our hopes up as much anymore. And also the hype fades. It fades when the dates get pushed back. I'm not as excited anymore because I'm like, oh crap, that means something's wrong with it. Like, are they still gonna be able to fix it in the extra 5 weeks they're giving themselves? It's just the hype doesn't work unless you hit your targets, you make promises you can keep, and you build trust back up with the community. Because right now, as gamers, I don't see us trusting really any of the development companies out there. Nobody's hitting targets. Nobody.
Now, what was there was another game I was just the Ashes from
Creation.
Ashes of Creation. Yeah. What happened with that one? Where is that at?
It's in an alpha. That's all
it is now. It is now.
Yeah, I still get emails, and all the emails are like, check out this week's founders package where you can spend like $500 to get in on the alpha and get all these exclusive skins. Which, like, I get helping a project like that and stuff if you're passionate about it, but I don't know. Again, they don't give you much to say this is why you should.
Because that was one, to me, that was one game that I remember you being like, I'm ready to go in on this one. Like, I'm ready to play this one. This was before Battlefield announcement, right? Everything.
This was probably a year and a half ago that the hype started on that with their big announcements and things, and they're no further along now, I feel like, than they were 18 months ago. So we'll see. It'll come out at some point, but at least they're not giving us a date. I respect them in that sense. They're quietly in the background working on it. So
that's true.
Do you, Ashes? Do you?
There's a small developer, and I think it's a 1C Entertainment or something. They make a lot of side scrolling RPGs, a lot of I want to call them like 32-bit, older style games still. And it's interesting when like they do it the way they have it set up. It's all in Discord. Like, they don't do any advertising, any announcements, anything like that. They just have in their Discord, and they're like, hey, by the way, this week this game is going to go for sale on Steam, or here's the pre-order is going to, or not the pre-order. What do they call that? What's it called on Steam? The early access.
Early access. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to do the early access on this date. If you guys are interested in this style, be sure to pick it up. Tell us what you think about the game. We're actively developing. We're going to be planning to finish on this date, but we want to get it out there as soon as we can for people in the community that want it, right? And they do. It's all it is. It's a small development team as far as I know, but they've got like 15, 20 titles on Steam right now or something like that, right? So I mean, they've got enough out there that they're making revenue and stuff like that on it, and it's
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and I think that's a really good approach, right? Just have it set up so that way it's not public, it's not everywhere, it's not advertisements on Twitch or on the Game Awards or anything like that. Like, it's not like here's our release date, right? Whereas if it's only in Discord, it's only for people that are interested in your games or your content. Then you can kind of do a little more.
And maybe that's part of the problem is these giant events. E3, Game Awards, the PlayStation show, this and that, where they look to these companies to show trailers and make promises, where I think for me, the last 5 years, the games I've enjoyed and been surprised by the most are the ones I never hear about. These small studios dropping, I don't know, we call them single A, double A titles, 10, 20, $30. And, I hear about it through word of mouth. And I open it up, try it out. I'll buy a game a lot of times when it's that much, and pleasantly surprised with pretty much most of them. So there's very few of those that I've been like, man, I want my money back. But the $60 with all the hype behind it, I can't remember the last time I've really, really been like, man, this is everything I hoped it would be.
I can't remember the
It's
last.
the
I mean,
smaller studios, I think, right now are winning by a long shot.
just to be honest with you, I can't remember the last time that I bought, or I can't remember the last time that I paid $60 for a game.
Resident Evil 8!
Oh,
But that was like a combo deal you got out of it, so.
I got the Stadia out of it, which the controller's literally collecting dust over on my shelf. I mean,
the Chrome. Hey, it's a nice controller, but
it's a beautiful controller. I wish it was.
I have so many other controllers. It's just excuse me.
It's a beautiful controller, but yeah, Resident Evil 8. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay, so that would be the last one that I bought, but I played it all the way through. I mean, to me that was a good game.
True.
So
you got your money's worth.
I definitely got my money's worth out of that one. So, what else though? Before that, I can't.
But I
remember.
wouldn't say. Yeah, I wouldn't say that game was like, man, it's everything I thought it would be and more.
No. That game to me, I enjoyed. So you're currently playing 7, right? In part of your content. I would say that I think that I substantially enjoyed 7 more than 8.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 to me is a much
playing the right game.
7 to me is a much better like horror, suspense, thriller, etc. than 8 was. 8 to me was too. I don't know. I'm gonna get sidetracked on that. Maybe.
I mean, a lot of the lists I've looked up, they rate RE7 pretty high, and Village just doesn't make a lot of those lists. So.
Doesn't make it at all. It's like, nah.
Yeah. No. Again, the small studios, they're doing it right. And again, they're not making promises. They're not putting pressure on themselves. They get to make the game they want to make. So I think the AAA title studios, I don't know. I think they're just getting orders from too many sides. There's too much money involved, and it just makes it dicey. And then we are the ones who end up suffering, which is unfortunate.
Now, that kind of leads me to what defines you kind of tapped on it a little bit. What defines a AAA title? I know it's money, right? Like I know it's like a big. It just stands for a big production game, right? But like you have an A-list movie and you have a B-list movie, right? Like A and B movies. Like, how did we come up with AAA titles? Like, I always wondered about where that came from and how that got defined. If anybody knows, if anybody in chat knows, if not, I will look it up later and make a comment about it. But it's just one of those weird things that I have started to really take note of, like Steam reviews on games and pay attention to the history of the development team, right, in that genre versus like just the game title or the hype around it.
Yeah. So actually, what I'm reading, it's originally derived from there's a system of grading. They're saying like off of the A, just the simple A B C D. A is the high mark.
Okay.
AAA is taking it to the next level, but other places also say highest development budgets and level of. I just lost my spot. Yeah, generally speaking, it's a game with a massive budget. Means nothing about the game itself other than the amount of money spent by the publisher, pretty much.
Which is kind of what we're thinking. But like, it's just like, at what point do you classify yourself as that? Like, is it just like a developer saying like, oh, this is my big budget game? Or is there an actual number? Like, if it's over 100 million, you're AA. If it's over 500 million, you're AAA. Right. Like, I have no idea, right? Like, I'm being super unrealistic for the development costs of games, I'm sure, but I have no idea. But I always wonder about that because I started hearing AAA titles like 5 years ago. I think I started hearing that term. Yeah. And I was
they throw it around a lot now. Yeah.
I was like, it seems like every game that has advertising is considered a AAA title now. Like if you have money, if you have an advertising budget, you're a AAA title because that's just the way you make it work.
And we all know that AAA title is going to cost how much? $60. Well, $70 now for PlayStation and new Xbox.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
The generation that got screwed.
Yeah. Actually, looking back, right? We looked back. There were NES games were $65, and there were some that were even $80. Really? I want to say. I want to say there was an NES game that was
$49.99 was like the standard when I was a kid.
I remember.
For like N64 stuff. Then it went up to $59 at some point along the road. I don't remember when, but It's sad to see. It's more sad to me that, us PC guys, we still get the game for $60 than the PlayStation people are paying 70
Oh, how
for it.
bad is
Like, I
that?
don't I
How
don't
bad is
understand that at
that?
all.
Yeah. How
Like,
bad is that?
is
I
Sony just
thought that was
pocketing
ridiculous.
$10?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I never
yeah.
understood that. What was it?
Sorry, guys, console people, you lose that again. Yeah,
I mean,
tragic.
and that's the worst part, right? Because Microsoft, right, has it on Game Pass for like $60, but then you go to the
Yeah,
Xbox and it's freaking $75
yeah,
or
it's
whatever. I'm like,
wild. Yeah,
are you just like,
rough,
are you
rough.
you paid for the hardware and now you're just like post paying for the hardware again or something? Like, is Microsoft like, it's the
Yep,
next generation console. We need to make some extra revenue that we
yeah.
didn't get at
The
original sale
graphics
or
are so
something.
good. Yeah, who
Sure they
knows, man?
are. Sure they are. Yeah, you get
Nobody can explain that to me and make me go like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." It's not gonna
4K.
happen.
What is the XX now? It's like it's 4K 60,
I could
right?
do 4K. Yeah,
4K
yeah,
60. Okay.
with proper TV again, which
With proper TV.
that's gonna set you back more to computers. I feel like these days
Yeah,
is a
most
good
TVs right now
4K
are still
TV.
4K 30. They're probably 4K 60, but they can't do.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I still have a 1080
so
TV,
4K
so
is starting to get more mainstream. Yeah, I do too. I don't have a 4K TV in my house. That's the one spot
that's
I'm
the one
behind
place
in.
everybody's like, "Hey, boomer." I'm like, "Yeah, man. That's. I
Yeah,
mean,
like,
my TV's older than my kids, so yes, it's quite old."
right? We'll get there eventually. That's really old, actually. That's an old TV. Is it a flat screen?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, is it a
What are
flat
we
screen?
talking
Yes,
about?
it is
Okay.
a flat
He's like,
screen.
I don't know. Is it a plasma? Remember the
No, it's
plasma
not a
days?
plasma. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I didn't get a plasma. A plasma wouldn't have
The
lasted
viewing
that
angles,
long.
guys.
Yeah,
That's what their
yeah,
sell was.
yeah.
Which
Because
it was
everybody,
true. The viewing angles were better. But who
because
wants to watch the TV from like a 45-degree angle? Nobody. Like,
it's like when you're planning your living room,
oh,
you're like, oh, we bought the plasma. We got to put that one chair that's
yeah.
145 degrees off center of the
Yeah.
TV, so that way we can watch it. No, the
Yeah.
killer with plasma though was the burn-in, right? The burn-in was
Yeah.
always
It was
miserable
really
for
bad.
those.
The
But
shelf life was not good on them.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say if you had plasma, it's probably if you had a plasma TV that lasted more than 5 years, you
Yeah.
didn't use it. Basically, like that was the only
Yeah,
excuse that it was still working.
Yeah. The LCD leaks, those were brutal. Ah, man, what it is to be old and have experienced all these technological changes.
Um,
Oh,
it
yeah.
it I don't know. Just publishers, developers, people,
Yeah.
they need to get it together, man. They
Well,
need to
like,
get it
and
together.
use your resources. Use your free resources. You have these massive communities out here willing to put their hands on your games early, give you full feedback. Again, I feel like the games that do big betas are a lot more successful than the games that don't. I'd love to see some actual numbers on that. I'll look to see if there is anything, if anybody's run some sort of deep dive into that. But it's free QA on a scale that you're never going to be able to pay for in house. So
My
why not?
funny thing is multiplayer games on launch day
I know
never
where this is going.
never seem to work. Like you will go an entire like and
Those
you're
servers, huh?
talking about people taking days off to play a game. You will take the day off and the game won't even connect because there's so many
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Like at what point do you just say I'm just going to buy the cloud? Because there's going to be so many people like
Yeah.
I know that doesn't make sense, but like I'm just going to buy the entire cloud and everybody's going to be able to connect regardless, right? Like at what point do you tell
Yeah, I
yourself
mean, yeah.
I,
Just that one day, just over guess. Like again, I don't know the monetary value of how the whole server system works for these companies. I don't know if they're leasing it all from some other companies where that's what they do. They just have farms and farms of servers. They say, oh, okay, you need capacity for 50,000 people. Sure. Is it that much different to go to 100K? Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
yeah,
But
and
that one day, it might not hurt just to overguess a little bit, and you can say, "All right, we're gonna shoot for 250,000. Oh, hey, we only hit 200. Now we can safely walk back our number for the
Yeah,
next
now we
week
can
or so."
spin down some servers and
Yeah.
not have and especially for games that don't even have like dedicated servers for play.
Oh, yeah.
Like where it's hosted between the people, all you're operating is the matchmaking server. Like that's all you're operating. Like, what are you doing? How does this not work?
Yeah.
It's been so crazy that
It's comical. It really is at this point.
Yeah. It's like you figure, okay, I get it. The biggest ones, the Call of Duty series always comes to mind with this, right? I think they're a huge developer or a huge project that's always had this issue. And you go to like, okay, Modern Warfare 2, I get it, right? Like that's a really early functioning multiplayer game, right? You didn't have cloud computing like you have today. You didn't have all the functions and features and things that you have for like stress testing like you have today. But today it doesn't make sense. You've been doing this for Modern Warfare 2 is 10 years old.
So long.
It's longer than that. Modern Warfare 2 is 12 years old, I think. So you've been doing this for 12 years, developing a new game every year for 12 years, and you still can't get it right.
Yeah. And I mean, it's comical. I laugh now. And maybe we're just as much as a problem as the developers because, we let it happen. We still buy the games. We still show up on launch day ready to go. We still sit there for 8 hours trying to get into the servers. And we expect it. So we're not super pissed about it. And it's launch day. Like, that shouldn't be a thing.
Oh,
like,
I don't.
They've been doing these games for so long and putting so much money into it, and they delay it for 6 months for launch day to still have server problems. Come on!
I don't buy games on launch day anymore. I don't like.
Oh, I mean, you're an exception.
Yeah, like if there's a game that I've ever wanted, like I think there's like 2 games ever that I've like waited. Remember when you used to have to wait in line for games? Now okay, guys, I've had like 5 people come and chat tonight. Yeah, I've had 5 people come and chat tonight and call me a boomer. This is where it gets really boomy, okay? I've physically stood in line to buy a game, okay? Because digital downloads didn't exist. So we were old. Or we were young at one time, and we had to do this. And that was when you took the day off. Lines would start forming. Oh, yeah,
you get the game at like midnight the night before.
Yeah, lines would start forming like a day and a half in advance. You'd be camping out to get your copy of the game on launch day. Right? I've done that like twice, and I did it for a single player game one time. It was like a new Final Fantasy game or something. And then I did it for one of the COD games. And I was so disappointed with the COD game because I couldn't even play it. I went home and you couldn't even do anything.
Yeah.
I was like, why? Oh, man. Why did I just do that? And that was what did it in. I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yep.
I remember seeing the people do it for like the Dragon Ball Z fighter.
That's really what it comes down to.
I remember seeing people do it for like one of the Dragon Ball Z games at one time. And I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Like that one doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Just pre-order it and go pick it up the next day. What are you doing?
For some early Pokemon games. I remember waiting at GameStops or not even EB Games.
EB Games.
Electronic Boutique. Way back in the day. Again, boomer me this. But GameStop wasn't always GameStop, guys. Yeah. And even EB Games was a change because it was literally originally called Electronics Boutique.
Yes,
which, come on, that's just a bad name.
Electronics Boutique.
EB Games is a good change. GameStop's even better, sure, but
what was the other one? What was the other FYE? FYE's gone, right?
Yeah.
For Your Entertainment.
For Your Entertainment. Yeah.
That was another. Another store there.
Those, CDs, all that stuff. Did you have Strawberries? Were those in Florida?
Strawberries?
It was a CD shop.
Nope.
It was big up north.
Nope. No, that one there, I don't know. Never heard of that one. But that's like Virgin Records, Virgin Megastore, all those those are like, speaking of like just going off of the topic of like things going discless, like digital media has like completely changed that part of the culture, right? It's interesting.
Yeah. No, we saw the creation and the death of like booming businesses with media and things like that. How rapidly it changed from, what, 8 tracks and crap like that, vinyl records to hyper discs, laser discs, cassettes, CDs, all that kind of stuff, DVDs, Blu-rays, and now it's just digital.
It's
Why
just
why put it
digital.
on anything? We can just send it to everybody we need to. It just makes a lot of sense.
It's pretty crazy when you think about it. Like I think of
Yeah.
I think of Virgin Megastore, right? In Orlando, that was in Orlando for years.
Yeah.
Right? This 4-story building that was totally dedicated around like
Virgin, yeah.
music and video games and everything. That was this 4-story building just built around everything, and it just gone, right?
Yeah, there was
It's
one in Disney Springs or
yeah,
downtown
yeah.
Disney
That's
was
one.
called
Yeah,
back then.
I mean, my brother
Yeah,
worked
that's what you're thinking of, yeah.
my brother worked there in high school, and
Oh, yeah?
yeah, and it was like it was
Yeah.
crazy. It just gone. He was actually there when the store, like he was working there when the store closed down. He was like, I don't know what I'm gonna
Wild.
do. I was like,
Right? Fired.
I was like,
Go home.
dude, you're 19. You got plenty of time to do
Yeah, right.
anything. Like, I was like, you're a
Time to
clerk at
panic.
Virgin Megastore. You're okay. Don't worry about it, man. You'll find something
Not
to
the end of
do.
the world. You'll be fine. Oh, somebody was telling me numbers in chat about lobby hosting or server hosting, but I don't trust the numbers whatsoever. So we'll do more homework.
We'll do more home. You just somebody's Googling and making up
Yeah.
their own numbers. Okay.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Gotcha.
I trust
Okay.
Brandon for most things, but this just, I don't know. This information seems
It doesn't.
wrong.
It doesn't seem legit.
It doesn't add up. No. Oh man.
But yeah, it's. I mean, just circling the wagons here, right? Developers, we need
Yeah.
to come to a consensus of understanding what people want, right? Like, I'm all
Yeah.
for pushing a game back. I'm all for things happening, and I'm all for like, having real expectations about what the release date is, but trying to oversell something, and if it's for the intention of getting people to buy
Yeah,
pre-releases just so you can fund the game, like fund the development further along, then gets. I think that's what Cyberpunk did. I'm just being entirely honest. I think Cyberpunk did a lot of pre-orders
They
and then
funded their next game, whatever that may be.
I mean, they did it in the long run since they had to give so many copies, like they had to refund so many copies, and the people still got to keep the game.
But final bottom line ended up being, but
I think that was part of the project. I think that was part of the idea there.
Yeah, I mean, I wanna say that there was pressure from, the financial side of things for the CD Projekt Red there, because again, the Witcher games they've made have been absolutely fantastic, and I think without the hype, I think Cyberpunk would have been received just as well. There would have been the crap in the beginning. Oh well, they would have pushed past it. But I think again, Cyberpunk for the RPG that it is, it's still a great game. It really is. It tells a really good story, creates really good characters, narratives, all that kind of stuff. It's just the hype killed it. It absolutely killed it. It's the biggest letdown in history, which it really isn't in my book, but that's what it's going to be remembered for.
Yeah. Man, I just
setting expectations. They just need to do better.
Okay,
and then meet them. That's it.
I have. So we have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes left for tonight.
All right, you got a good one, quick topic, or
yeah. There's a quick thing that I want to. There's a quick thing that I want to touch on because we haven't had an opportunity to have the discussion about it.
Okay.
Do you think, and this is blindsiding a little bit here, but do you think Blizzard is going to recover from the sexual scandals and everything going on? Have you been paying attention to that?
I was like, my head first said recover from what? Besides the fact,
really?
Like a new game hasn't come out in a while.
Oh man, so you haven't even seen the news about any of that, right?
No.
Like basically, like the company is under huge fire. They're like is under a huge thing with the California's California's government. Yeah, they're being sued by the state of California. And there's a whole bunch of stuff going on at Blizzard where basically CEOs are being let go. A whole bunch of people are coming out and they're talking about changing names of characters in games that are semi-related to existing people that worked at the company and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge thing
Saw
right
the
now.
words frat boy environment, and it kind of gave me all the information I needed to know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things that I it started here's part of the problem.
Yeah.
It started in the 90s, right? In the 90s and in the early 2000s, right? A lot of the bad stuff that happened, like the really bad stuff, was that early mid 2000s environment, right? Where I think the gaming culture hadn't matured well enough. It's on its own.
No.
Right? I mean, we already know.
Yeah, no.
We already know. We've seen it with like even in the like what was it, the Super Smash Brothers community, where like they had this huge scandal of like females getting completely I don't even know what the term, abused, right? Abused to like female players and people in the community and stuff like that, in the Smash Brothers community and stuff like that. And this was all stemming from like the early 2000s, etc., right? And it's just now,
unfortunately, is just absolutely cancer and toxic towards females, which is tragic.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm
getting.
not gonna say every person is like that.
Sure.
It's been a big 20 years, I'd say, for females across a whole coming into the industry, which is fantastic. I love to see it. They bring a whole new spin and perspective on a lot of things, and it's again, I'd say the last 20 years has been the best 20 years for gaming as far as the changes and stuff we've seen. So I'm all for more females in every aspect of it,
Yeah.
but there is unfortunately a lot of communities, environments, whatever may be behind it, that just have not handled that transition well. And hopefully, as time goes on, we weed all those horrible people out.
The worst part about it, I don't want to say the worst part about it,
get back to having fun with games again.
I don't want to say the worst part about it is, but I think that it's not even strictly related to gaming. I think it was huge in tech.
Yeah.
It was huge in tech in general, right? Engineering was like technical engineering stuff and computer science,
dominantly male.
Yeah, it was
for the most part.
And it was just considered not a female environment, and I think that's slowly changing, right? Not slowly. I think it's changed very rapidly over the past 20 years, right? I think it's gotten better, but should my kind of part of my question is some of these people that are being accused at Blizzard didn't even work there anymore, right? And yet the company is still under fire for the things that they had set into place or actions they had taken against staff at the time, right? How much of this should be Blizzard's fault, like, and how much should be the individuals, right? Because it's a weird, like you said, that frat boy environment. Yes, it kind of was, but I can almost guarantee you at the like coder level, like if you're a developer at Blizzard, you were not the frat boy, right? It was the CEOs in their parties doing things like that, right? Versus the working people. And I'm really worried that I think Blizzard's going to be okay, right? I don't think the company's going to fold, but right, I think their reputation's pretty screwed. But I really worry for some of these people that are, like had been good people back in, the early 2000s that have worked their way up through the company, and now they're going to be under fire because of something that somebody did 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just one of those hot button topics with a lot of stuff in the world these days. And my plain and simple view, I guess, really on it is, on a whole, across a lot of different work environments and things like that, they were horrible places. It just, a lot of things weren't done well. I would hope that culture's changed a lot in a lot of those workplaces since then, just like the whole world has changed and adapted. And I think individuals should always be held responsible for something they've done in the past. Again, make the proof that things happened perfect. Punish the person who did the crime. But holding companies necessarily, I don't know. It seems like a witch hunt. That what is it really accomplishing?
Right. Right. That's where I get.
And you hate to see good companies who, maybe they did have a horrible culture 15, 20 years ago, but they've done so much and put so much back in to make it a much better workplace than it was because they knew they had a problem. And then
that's
they
where
get punished for it now. That seems like that's kind of unfair to me.
That's where I would get worried, right? And that's kind of what I was alluding to is at what point has the company done enough that it's paid for its sins that it occurred,
and it's
or
not excusing the behavior in any way.
performed.
It's just
What
we all have to be allowed to change, right? We all have to be allowed that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying anybody should be allowed to do that, right? I would say that maybe it was more culturally acceptable 20 years ago.
Which doesn't
make it right.
Yeah,
doesn't make it right by any means.
Weird place 20 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it right by any means, but, can you blame them? They're not doing it today, right? Like that's the key factor. They're not doing it today. They've changed.
Yeah. Cultures change.
So I don't know. It's something we'll talk about that a little more. We'll talk about that a little more offline and get some more feedback on it. Maybe we'll revisit the idea, the concept, and see where Blizzard's going in another month or something like that, and see how they're holding up.
Yeah, I mean they've done great things. I'd love to see more games come out of them. So
I would love to see another. I don't know. I'd love to see a good game out of them. No, I shouldn't say I'd love to see a good game, but something new, right? Like.
Yeah,
I mean, granted,
not a this 4 or this 5 or whatever it may be.
I mean, I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine with them riding the Warcraft wave, right? But I mean, Warcraft was a DOS game. Like, let's go, guys! Like, we're literally carrying this game across every generation of PC that's ever existed. I mean,
And their most recent big announcement outside of Overwatch 2 was remastering Diablo 2. Like, come on. I'm sorry, we're better than that at this point.
Yeah, where's the new content? Where's the new? Yeah, you're exactly right. They've got like 4 brands or 4 game lines that they've just basically fed off of for the last 30 years.
Yeah, kick it into high gear.
Let's get something new. Yeah, let's get something new. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling up on our hour time limit, and I only call it an hour time limit because I'm going to go play some games because that's partially what I enjoy doing. So, ladies and gentlemen,
that's what we're here for as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening in tonight. As always, these will eventually, now that I'm stress-free, I can actually edit videos again. I say that I'm stress-free. I'm totally lying to everybody. But now that I'm stress-free, we can go edit videos again. And I will get our last 3 episodes posted up on Anchor and on the YouTube channel. So please feel free to go check those out. If you guys are so willing, there is a link down in the description of all of our videos with subscription pages, things where you can find additional content from both myself and the Game Hopper. So we hope you guys enjoy. We hope you guys have a wonderful week. We will catch you in 7 more days.
We love